Democracy is a political ideology whereby the majority have their way and the minority have their say. On face value, that may seem like a grand utopia-like system, but in reality, it is a direct opposite. Gaddafi himself had a democratic model of government, which he termed as a Jamahiriya, or a direct model of democracy, direct democracy, whereby the people themselves were their own legislators or representatives in government. But even he had to abandon large portions of this system, which he had coined in the Green Book, as ordinary citizens in most cases only care for the mundane things of life. An average person is only concerned with the roof over their head, food in their stomach, a job to go to, and healthy children to come home to. Such people, if placed in power, could never elevate a nation to industrial levels of progress, as they are not intellectuals with critical thinking capabilities. That is why Libya was a dictatorship with Gaddafi as the head of state and a prime minister as the head of government. Gaddafi himself boasted that Libya was a state of the people, a state of the masses, with no government. But in time, a government arose due to the failures of direct democracy, which was derived from communism. Communism has failed in every country it was ever implemented in, which is why democracy in its true form fails alongside it. There is a reason North Korea is called democratic, while at the same time being a brutal communist state. Communists see themselves and identify themselves as democratic, which is why the left-wing party in the United States call themselves the Democratic Party, as they are one and the same. Democracy is nothing more than two wolves and a sheep voting on what to eat, an illusion of freedom, which is why the American founding fathers formed a constitutional republic, which we now know as the United States of America. America is a republic, not a democracy, which is part of the reason it is the greatest nation on earth. In the previous video, when I touched on why democracy is not the answer, I did not define what a republic is, but rather I focused on what a democracy wasn't. This video clarified what was left out, as well as the supremacy of a republic in comparison to a democracy. Basically, a republic is a model of governance or a political system whereby people select representatives to govern them and make laws. A constitutional republic would be a republic governed by the Constitution, whereby the Constitution is supreme. A perfect illustration of a constitutional republic is found nowhere else than the Bible. That may be hard to believe, as most people believe that God in the Bible advocates and teaches for a monarchy, father to son type of rule, but in reality, that is false. In Deuteronomy chapter 1, we find God's model of governance. We see in verse 15, Moses explaining and laying out the form of government that was given to him by God to govern the people of Israel that can only be explained as a constitutional republic. Deuteronomy 1:15. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, captains over fifties, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, hear the cause between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. The same thing is seen in Exodus, where Jethro, who was Moses' father-in-law, once more lays out a constitutional republic. Exodus 18:21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. The people were to elect leaders that represented them and judged them with the law of God as a constitution. But much later on, in the book of 1 Samuel, the people of Israel rejected this form of government. They rejected a constitutional republic and demanded for a king to be placed over them to judge them. It was a republic that the American founding fathers modeled America after, as they were God-fearing men. That is why the word democracy is never found even once in either the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, or the Bill of Rights. None of these founding documents do you find the word democracy. In fact, the founding fathers, if you study their writings, abhorred democracy and made strong statements against it, condemning it as a political concept. Their vision was for America to become and be a constitutional republic, because a constitutional republic is where the minority have rights, while in a democracy, 51% of the people can enslave the remaining 49%, a majority dictatorship. The problem with the majority rule is that typically the majority are always wrong. In a republic, the 1% are protected from the 99%. The 49 have equal rights with the 51. But in a democracy, the majority can vote away the minority's rights. In a republic, all persons have inalienable rights, freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So even if the majority wants something that goes against the Constitution, it won't pan out, as the Constitution is supreme, not the 51% or even 99% of the people. A republic is a wonderful political phenomenon that dwarfs any of its close rivals. But the only problem with a republic is when wicked men take power. When corrupt men take the wheel of a republic, the road to success and prosperity will be swerved away from. Those who reject the law and disregard what the Constitution says will see to it that any republic will crumble. The republic must have limitations in regard to the men who take the helm. Additionally, there have to be moral qualifications for those in leadership. Men in power must be able men, God-fearing, men of truth, haters of covetousness. Never the mentally deranged, haters of God, and lovers of themselves or lovers of money. If a nation upheld the moral qualifications for leaders, then people such as former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Buhari, who stole 460 million US dollars that was given to him in the form of a loan from China for a CCTV project, would never be president. If a nation upheld the moral qualifications, then leaders like the current president of the Republic of South Africa, Ramaphosa, who stashed millions in foreign exchange, which were the proceeds of corruption, in a mattress, would never be eligible for re-election. If moral qualifications were upheld, then leaders like the current president of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, a man drenched in corruption and like Buhari before him, takes millions in foreign loans that are meant or purported to be for domestic projects into his pockets, then leaves the country drowning in debt to foreign nations for his own aggrandizement and gratification. Men like him, if they were upheld, would never be president. A very corrupt man that is widely hated by his own people and infamously voted as one of the most corrupt leaders in the world. Unlike communism or socialism or a democracy, the problem with a republic is not the republic itself, but the leaders appointed to helm it.